This is my review for November 14th, 2025. Um, Today was draining in a lot of ways. The volatility was just nuts. Um, let's get rid of those. Sorry. Um, it was just a knife fight. It was a slog fest, and it was just so mentally taxing, and emotionally taxing. Um, the average rotation was so wide, and um, I learned that I think on days where the volatility is that wild, I may need to focus more on 30-second ATR candles, which is new to me. I have not even thrown that indicator on the 30-second chart, um, but I may have to if this is the volatility that we're heading into, because what was happening is we would put in moves on the 3 second that would just immediately get bought back up. Um, so it's like we would put in an ATR candle for me to fade into, and I would take it, but then it would just immediately ATR to the other side, or it would ATR against me, and it either wouldn't give me an entry because it was too quick, or what I was getting into just wasn't wide enough, and it would just pull back on me even further. And I was, and that makes it super hard because you can't get entries, and when you do get entries, they're too early, and it pulls back on you multiple points. And that's what was going on pretty much the whole day. Um, so this is where we're at. I had 19 trades today, which is a lot. My win rate was 36.8%, 7 wins, 12 losses. My average winning trade was 12.6 ticks, and my average loss was 10 ticks. So I had a positive risk reward, but only because of my last trade. My last trade was a 31 tick winner, which is just massive. And it just totally eclipses any other trade I had. Um, Much, much bigger than my losses. My largest loss was 15 ticks, my largest being 31. My second largest was also 16 ticks. So it's not even like I had one outlier. Like my wins were pretty consistently large. I had a 31 tick winner, a 16 tick winner, a 14 tick winner. But the problem was I had more losses. I had multiple multi point losses against me, some of which I'm sure were unnecessary. And I guess we'll see that from the review. But first, I want to emphasize how important it is that today was a learning day. Like, this is an environment I haven't traded in many, many months. Um, so it's a Friday. So to come away on a Friday down only $400 on a session like that is a win in my opinion. Like, I'm really, really proud of the way I managed myself today. I didn't spiral. It came close. My emotions were very high today, and today is an emotionally taxing kind of day. Um, which brings me to my next point, that if this volatility continues, and if I come in here on Monday and the volatility is like this, I'm gonna have to drop down to micros. It's easy for me to say in hindsight that I should have traded micros today, but there's not really any way of knowing that off the open. Um, and it's also too late. Like, once you start trading a mini, um, there's no point in dropping size, in my opinion, halfway through the session. But if this is an environmental change and we're heading into a very volatile environment, then I'm gonna have to make that change before the next session. So we shall see. Um, I'll go over my daily plan real quick. This is what we were looking at off the open. Very wide candle range yesterday. And then today, during the London session, we traded down even further. So watch for full time frame confluence. And we did have it for briefly. We did have full time frame confluence. Um, watch for a reclaim of prior day low. Um, a reclaim of prior day low may see a reclaim up higher. As we're currently trading, I don't think that's the case. Oh, it is. We just reclaimed prior day low. So today does look like a reversal day. And then prior day observations, ATR candles stack when price action is tight. That didn't really apply today because today was not tight. It was very loose, so I didn't really have any opportunities to utilize that. Caution on trade location, areas of interest. Yesterday I got burned taking trades in bad locations. And don't push trades in low volatility. That certainly wasn't an issue today. So let's jump into trades. Trade number one is a 4-tick profit to the short side. We had a very strong move off the open. I want to rewind real quick and go over a missed opportunity. There was a very, very good short trade that I missed, and it was right here. There's actually 2 short trades that I miss. One is the opening range low retest. It would have been very easy for me to sell right here at 89 and catch the short continuation. That was a very good setup and was the high of day really for a lot of the session. Price traded like 40, 50 points lower. And then the second one was the short continuation at 86. I could have even got like 86.50 fill on this pullback. And I pulse checked it, which was a good pulse check. But I wish I took that trade because that was a very A+ setup. And we immediately traded like 10 points lower. So I just wanted to go over that real quick. Missed opportunity. So first trade, we got a little bit of a slip range developing here. We put in an ATR candle up, and I chase it by quite a bit. So because I chased, it wasn't worth much, and I take it off pretty quick here. It bounces around on me a lot. If I fast forward to where I get out of it, it eventually comes back on me. So where I got out was almost the low of day, I think. Yeah, it was. So shorting low of day is pretty risky, but there's no way for me to know that in hindsight. This was a clear downtrend at the time that I took the trade, so this has full time frame confluence. I want to make sure I tag that. We are below the moving average. Trend favor, compression, because we are compressing into new lows here, and small order block in our favor. And I think that's it. I'll call this a C setup. It's not great. I do wish I got a bit more of a pullback. ATR candle fade with momentum. Entry good, exit good. Conservative scalp. I did want much more out of this. I was hoping for a multi-point move, but I just never got it. That being said, though, with the volatility today, a multi-point move is still a scalp, so I'm not going to change that tag. I did have slip favor. It was clear. My calmness was maybe. I think my calm is going to be a maybe through the entire session. Contentment, I'm going to say yes. I started out pretty content. And I'll say yes, patience too, because I was pretty patient. One might even say too patient because I missed those 2 really good opportunities early in the session. And I'll green star this one. Trade number 2 is a 12-tick loss to the short side. I don't think I should be shorting up here. I know the idea I was going for, and it is actually a pretty good idea. And let's play the replay here for just a second to see how it plays out. I'm gonna call that a late exit. There were opportunities for me to get out of this. Exit late. Do the VWAPs. Calmness, maybe calm. I'm gonna say maybe content because I was holding this way too long. But I am patient. I'm pretty patient waiting for this setup. This was an ATR candle continuation on a mean reversion. I was looking for a mean revert back down through all that move we just put in. We had an area of interest. I'll call this a B setup. I'll actually call it an A. This is a really good setup for a mean reversion, especially since we had precedence from yesterday. But that being said, we are trading above my moving averages. Support resistance area of interest, reclaim, trend against. I'm going to put trend against here because we are clearly uptrending. Oh, and order blocks. We had big and small order blocks. I'll call this multiple factors of support. Entry was pretty good. This was an aggressive scalp, and we're risk off at this point. The last trade was risk on, which I'll tag, but this one is risk off because now we don't have time frame confluence. I did wait for slip favor. I thought I was clear at this point in my session, but I don't think I was. So maybe I'll change that to in between. And this will be a yellow star. It wasn't a horrible setup. I just held it way too long. And I'll even tag that. I'll put the greed tag on there because I was being pretty greedy by holding this. I had 9 ticks in my favor, but I didn't take it off. Trade number 3 is a 9-tick loss to the long side. So there's a bit of flip-flopping going on here, and I'm not a huge fan of it. I like it when my trading is very directional. I like trading to the long side, and I like trading to the short side many times in a row. I don't like it when I'm flip-flopping long, short, long, short. Which, in all honesty, that means that the previous trade should have been long. The not to foreshadow, but the next trade is also a short, and it should have been long too. I don't like this flip-flopping stuff. So let's watch it. We got a pretty clear move upwards. I'm going to bid 700. Got the fill. It's accepting below me. I'm going to cut it for another loss there. So I cut it for a loss. A new rule that I might have to make here is that I should not be trading ATR continuation at high of day. If we're making a new high of day, especially if we're breaching a support resistance area, I should not be trading continuation. I should only be trading pullbacks. It should pull back significantly first, or at least wait until it starts showing signs of acceptance above us, because this is clearly a flush. It flushes up and then it flushes back down and hard. It comes back 5 points more than 5 points. So for me to catch it like that is just too aggressive. So let's put the aggressive tag on. Entry early. Exit good. I can't really get a smaller exit than that. I had to take a big loss on it. Calmness. Maybe calm. I'll put yes content and yes patient. There is quite a bit of time between trades here. I'm going to put market read in between. I don't think I'm clear at this point. I did technically have slip favor, but it wasn't a very good slip. This was an ATR continuation with momentum. I call it a D setup. It's not very good because we're too tight relatively. So I'm going to put the price action too tight tag on there because it's relatively too tight. We do have an area of interest. We do have a support resistance area. We do have trend favor, but that's about it. And we are above VWAP +1. So I'm gonna yellow star this trade. I like that I'm trading with the trend. I like that I notice the trend is going up. But it was just way too early of an entry. Trade number 4 is a 12 tick loss to the short side. Again, this is going to be a very unnecessary loss. I can see why I took it. It is a really good mean reversion setup, but the trend is just too strong. I am fighting the trend here. There's the fill at 96. And in hindsight, watching this trade, I after trading the session, I now know that they were not respecting these continuation trades. Like the continuation trades were just not working, at least for the entry signals. The entry signals that I was using were not working. But to cut myself some credit, there was no way I could have known that this early in the session. And it just starts chopping against me. There were multiple opportunities for break even there, so I'm going to say exit late. My entry was good considering the setup. This was an aggressive move to move because it was a mean reversion. I had a pretty clear target in mind. Against bias. Slip favor. Market read in between. I'm definitely not clear here if I'm shorting an uptrend. I'm going to put maybe calm, but my heart rate was 124, which is very high. I'm going to say maybe content because I didn't take the break even. And I'll say maybe patient because it was very quick after my last trade. So we did have a lot of factors of support. We had a lot of invalidation. We had a reclaim. We had a V flush. We had a support resistance area. So I'll call that multiple factors of support. As far as mean reversion goes, that is really as good as it gets. But it's just such a strong uptrend. We were technically below the moving average, which is good. I want to grade this on setup quality. I think on paper the setup was very good, but I also have to consider the fact that the trend is so strong. It's incredibly strong, and to be catching a knife up here is very, very risky. I'll go ahead and call it an A. It was a good attempt. It was at least a good attempt. But fighting the trend up here is just not ideal. I'll call this a green star just because you know you're not gonna. There's no point in trading if you're not taking risks, and I knew the risks of taking this trade, and the reward would have been substantial if it did work. We're talking 5, 10 points. You know, I might have been able to target VWAP, which would have been, yeah, 10 points from my entry. Uh, so, I mean, if I'm risking 3 points to make 10, I mean, that's pretty good risk reward. It just happened not to work at this day, which I'm fine with. So, I'll leave that as a green star. Oh. All right. So where are we here? Trade number 5 is a 3-tick loss to the long side. So I like that we're trending up. I like the ATR candle, but we're slowly grinding downwards. I do like that I'm waiting for the right side of the V, but honestly, I think the right side of the V is gone because we keep making lower highs.
Seems to be accepting against me. I'm going to take that off for a little bit of a loss.
And of course, as soon as I take it off, it goes in my favor. And if I fast forward here, it would have been a winning trade. It would have hit my target. So I will slap the fear tag on this one. Exit early. I'm also going to put entry early on this one. Maybe calm. Maybe content. If I was fully content, I would have been comfortable holding that. Yes, patient. I am pretty patient here. I had a pretty good market read. I am pretty clear. Factors of support were trend favor, order blocks. I even had some big order blocks there. We are. What else do we got? Range favor. I'll call that a reclaim. I think that's it. This was technically a breakout trade. ATR candle fade. I'll call it a B setup. It's not amazing by any standard, but it is pretty solid. And at the time of entry, we were kind of hugging the moving average. We weren't above or below. This was a conservative move to move. I had a pretty good idea of where I wanted to get out of this trade. Slip against, I feel like. No, there wasn't really any slip, so I'm going to do slip none on that. Boom, boom, boom. All right. And this will be a yellow star, obviously, because it was a good setup. It was just poorly executed. Could have gotten much more out of it. Trade number 6 is a 14-tick win to the long side. My biggest trade yet.
Got the fill, 4 even. I'm going to hold for the breakout of this. I'm risking 4 points, so I would like to see 4 points reward. A nice little continuation upwards. A little bit of a pullback that can work for me here, but I just don't want to see it accept down here.
So it pulls back on me quite a bit. I think it pulls back about 6 ticks below my entry. In rare instances, that's actually a good thing because it's showing more strength and more confirmation if it reclaims back up. And in this case, it did. So now it comes back up. We defended those lows. And now it's going to trend all the way back up to 750 was where I took the exit. I wanted 8s out of it. And I would have got 8 even if I had held. So I could have got a couple more ticks out of it. This was a great trade. I had pretty much all the factors of support working for me here. This was ATR candle continuation, breakout. I'll call it an A setup above the moving average. Entry good, exit good. Could have got a couple more ticks, but I think considering where I was, this was a good bankroll. I had trend favor. I had a support resistance area. I think that's about it. We did have pretty strong tape at the time of entry, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'll put strong tape on there too. So it won't be an A+ because I don't have multiple factors of support, but I definitely have enough This was a conservative move to move. Risk off. Slip favor, definitely. I was clear. Maybe calm, maybe content. And yes, patient. I was very patient waiting for this this trade. I'll even change this to yes, content, because I was content with holding this one, even when it pulled back on me. This will be a green star. I really liked this trade. Trade number 7 is a 15 tick loss to the long side. Let's go ahead and watch it.
There's the move down, long 17 even.
This
A bit of a wide leash on this one.
this looks like a good trade. Maybe my entry was a little early.
2 ATR candles. I do not want to see it dip below that ATR candle, that second one. We'll take off there.
Yeah, and I get out there. And if I fast forward a bit, it would have worked had I stayed in it, or at least it would have worked enough for me to pull some profit off of it had I stayed in it. So just an early entry, I think, is my diagnosis of that one. Entry early, exit early. It would have came back if I had just held it a little longer. This was ATR candle fade with momentum. I'm gonna call it a B setup. Honestly, we had some pretty good invalidations there. We had some good order blocks above us. I'll even call that a reclaim. And we had trend favor. I will put multiple factors of support on that. This was an aggressive scalp, risk off. I didn't really have slip favor. Yeah, I'm gonna say slip none because I did just kind of jump into this one. So maybe I will change my conservative tag to aggressive. It was a pretty aggressive entry. I was clear at this point. Maybe calm. Maybe content. If I was okay with it coming back on me, I could have held it. But I am patient. I am pretty solidly patient at this point. What do I want to grade this? It's gonna be a yellow star. I don't think it was red by any means because it was a very good setup. It just didn't work. I just executed it poorly. Trade number 8 is a try 2 of the last trade. And it is a 14 tick loss to the long side. I do not think a try 2 was warranted here. I think this is going to be a red star. But let's watch the replay first.
I will even move it up to 16. Got the fill at 16.
So I can see why I took it, and on its face, it's actually a pretty decent setup. We have an ATR candle to the upside that still needs to be reclaimed, and we get a smaller ATR candle to the upside that I am bidding for continuation. The trend is still very solid at this point. The tape looks pretty solid green. I can see why I took it. On its face, it's a very good trade. However, given the context that I had just taken a very big loss on this, and that I'm jumping back in for a try 2 of that trade, I don't think it was warranted because I'm clearly not content. If I take a loss on an idea and then it looks like it would have worked and I'm like, "Oh man, I should have held longer." And then I get back in it, there's clearly a contentment issue here. Like, it's not a good idea for me to get back in that. So I'm going to call this a C setup. It's not horrible, but it's not great either. I think we're below the moving average at the time of taking this. Entry was not warranted. I'm going to red star this trade. Aggressive scalp against bias. There was slip favor here. My market read is in between. Maybe calm. I'm gonna use no content. I was not content with this trade because I was barely content with taking the last loss, and getting back into it is clearly very poor contentment. So I'm going to tag no content, and I'll also say no patient. So I am not patient here either by taking this trade. So that'll be a red star, my first red star of the session. Trade number 9 is a 9-tick profit to the long side. We've got an ATR candle pullback into the breakout. I'm going to try the long 1925. So this was a very tight trade, and I'm going to tag price action too tight. Because we're in a very tight slip range. It looks like a 2-point slip range, which, given the fact that we have like 10-point rotations, is very tight. However, we're compressing into high of day, and it clearly looks like a breakout. And it ends up breaking, but then it gets very weird and choppy. So it was a good exit. So let's tag that. Exit good, entry good. This was a breakout with an ATR candle fade. Right? Or was it? Yeah, it was ATR candle fade. I'll give it a B set upgrade. We're above the 50 moving average. I'm going to tag this with trend favor, compression, and I think that's it. I don't think I can really slap too much more on this. Trend favor, compression. We've got an ATR candle pullback into the breakout. I'm going to try the long. At the time of entry, let's look at the tape. Was the tape strong? No, not really. It was actually kind of weak. So yeah, those are the only 2 tags I'm going to use. Trend favor, compression, into a breakout, which is sometimes all you need. Sometimes all you need is just a quick little breakout with compression. This was an aggressive scalp. It's pretty aggressive going long at high of day like that, but the compression definitely added some confirmation to it. I did have slip favor. There's a slip range that I did manage to get favor on. I was clear about this read, and I'm pretty calm. This is 100 beats per minute, which is pretty good. I'm going to put maybe content just because of the last trade. I was not content, and it very rarely can I go from not content to fully content. So I'm going to put maybe. And then patience, I'll also put as maybe, since that was also red the last trade. This will be a green star trade. Trade number 10 is a 10-tick loss to the long side. And right away, I can tell I don't like this trade because we are way too tight on the price action. We're hugging the moving average. There's not a lot of volume. It's very lethargic. This is the area I want to avoid trading. Granted, I think I'm being tricked right now. I'm being tricked into thinking there's a range right here, but it's clearly not a range. It's a struggle grind, and I do not want to get in on struggle grinds. So it immediately stops me out. I think I even do a try 2 on this and take another loss. Looks like I do, which is no bueno. So I am boom, boom. I'm going to say maybe patient, maybe content, and maybe calm. I'm going to say confused. I think I was confused with this market read. I do not like the location of this. I did technically have slip favor on it. Technically had range favor and trend favor at the same time. There were some small order blocks, but that's about it. This was ATR candle fade. Technically a mean reversion. D setup though. It was a very bad setup. We are hugging the moving average. Price action is too tight. I'm against my bias because this is an aggressive scalp. And missing context. The context that I'm missing is that this is very bad price action. This will be a red star trade. I'm going to copy the tags because the next one is a trade number 11 is a 7 tick loss to the long side on the same idea. It's a try two. So let's paste that in there. Put try two on it. Take a stop, unfortunately. And I think that's it. Yeah. It's a pullback here with that will also be a red star. Take a stop, unfortunately. Trade number 12 is a 9 tick loss to the short side. I have now switched bias to be short because I think we are breaking out to the downside. ATR candle up. I'm going to try the short at 17 since we are now trading below the VWAP +1. So it was a good attempt, and it does look like it's working in my favor for a little bit. I'm just looking for but then it eventually comes back on me. Had I waited for a slightly better entry, it would have worked. Again, this ATR, it does technically give me an ATR candle, but that ATR candle is so tight. I need to, on days like today, I need to wait for the ATR because the ATR isn't always going to be good. And in this particular example, it's just not good enough of a pullback. So, I don't think it's a red star necessarily. My emotions are all maybe. They're all yellow. My clarity's in between because I don't really know that we're in a downtrend yet. I'm just kind of guessing, so to speak. I mean, I obviously have reasons to think we're in a downtrend, but this is going to be a D setup. Below the moving average, ATR fade. I will call that momentum. I'm actually going to switch that to mean reversion because we do have a lot of mean revert to the downside, mean favor. We had big, small order blocks. We had a lot of reclaim below us. We had a lot of stop run potential. I just don't have trend favor yet. So I'll call that multiple factors of support. My entry was early. My exit was also early, which seems to be a theme today. It's unrealistic to think I could have held that for like 20 ticks of drawdown. But had I held through it, it would have eventually came in my favor. This was an aggressive scalp. And I am technically trend against because we are above or very close to the moving average or the VWAP +1. Slip against. I think that's it. I'm going to yellow star this one. Trade number 8, or sorry, trade number 13 is an 8-tick profit to the short side. Looks like we finally do get that breakout.
17.
I get a very wide ATR candle to fade into.
I'll take it off at 15.50
Very good trade.
points.
We're also now accepting below the VWAP, so now I can put trend favor on it. I was much more clear here. Maybe calm, maybe content, maybe patient. I had slip favor here. This was a more conservative scalp because I was waiting for confirmation. Entry good. I'm going to say exit early. I do think this could have gone much further. ATR candle fade. Mean reversion. I'll call it a B setup. It's pretty good. Below the moving average. I had big order blocks, small order blocks, reclaim, stop run, multiple factors of support tag. This will be a green star. I'm going to copy my tags because I think the next one is very similar. I'm essentially trading a slip range.
I'm going to try the short at 18.50 for the slip range.
Yeah, so almost the exact same trade, and I'm
16.
taking it off near the bottom of the slip range. So I'm going to paste these tags in. I do need my VWAP tags. I was clear, I was conservative, I had slip favor, my exit was good this time. I had range favor. It is a range at this point. I will green star that one. Trade 15 is an 11-tick loss to the short side. I don't hate this trade, but I'm resting. I don't think I should rest orders in a market like this. So I had an order resting there at 14.75. It comes up really fast and fills me, and now it's just against me.
Above me a little bit. I want to see this pull back down.
It tries to accept back down, but then it ultimately goes back up. So good cut. It was a good exit. Entry early. Exit good. I think that's all I can really ask for. This was a continuation trade with momentum. I'm going to call it a D setup because, well, actually, I'll call it a C setup because it's not horrible. It's just I shouldn't have been resting there. We are pretty tight on the moving average. I'm going to tag hugging the moving average. This was an aggressive scalp. I think resting on the bid is, or resting on the offer is aggressive. Slip none. There was no slip here. I was clear about the trend, but I'm maybe calm, maybe content, and maybe patient. Factors of support. I still had big order blocks, small order blocks, reclaim, stop run, trend favor. You know what? I'm actually going to take the trend favor tag off of the last few trades because we are still trending upwards pretty hard.
PTR candle up.
This will be a yellow star because it was a good setup, just executed poorly. I should not have been resting. I'll even put a note down here. Shouldn't not rest orders in high VIX. Trade 16 is a 16-tick profit to the short side. This had a lot of hold time. This was a breakout trade. I was looking for the breakout of the range. The entry was super tight, but it had the compression to validate it. So this will be A+, I think. compression. We had reclaim assisted. We were technically range against, but I am confident calling this a downtrend at this point, so I'll put trend favor on it. Tape looks decently strong. Below the moving average. I'll call this an A setup. I don't think it's quite A plus because I don't think I have enough factors of support quite yet. This was a breakout, ATR continuation, right? No, it was fade. Never mind. I will put the price action too tight tag on there because I do still think price action's too tight. But that being said, my entry was good. My exit was good. I did have slip favor. This was an aggressive hold. My market read was clear. I was not very calm here. My heart rate was very elevated. But I wasn't necessarily on tilt either, so I'm going to say maybe calm. I'm going to say I was content and I was patient, though. I did wait like 6 or 7 minutes since my last trade, and I was clearly content with holding this since it has a 1 minute 30-second hold time. Let's continue to watch the replay.
I'm trying to work an exit here at 775.
I take it off around 8 because we have an invalidation order block down there.
And I got the fill there on the exit.
And let's fast forward a bit. Yeah, it does come back against me after that. So this will be a green star. Exit good. Trade 17 is a 12 tick loss to the short side. It looks like I'm trying to do a try to.
It looks like I'm gonna get it. I'm going short 13.
Yeah, I'm gonna paste my tags from the last trade, but this is not a good and nearly as good of a setup as the last one. So I'm gonna call this a C setup instead of an A. It's an ATR candle fade with momentum. It's no longer a breakout because we already have broken out. Entry early. How did my exit look?
Capitulation to the downside. So
exit. Exit late. I'm gonna have to tag it that way. This was an aggressive scalp. I'm going to put the impulsive tag on here. I don't think I should have been tagging here. There's no slip. And I'm going to say in between. I don't think I'm completely clear on this one. I don't think I'm completely content either. And I don't think I'm completely patient. So maybe. I'll call this one a yellow star, but I'm going to copy the tags because I do a try to on it. We put in another ATR candle.
3 ATR candles in a row.
And I try taking it again.
Feeling pretty good.
But now we're accepting into the prior range, so I should not be trading here in the middle of this range. So I'm going to paste these tags in. I'm going to put range against. I'm also going to put fixated on an idea. Try 2. This will be a red star. And I think I'm confused too. I'm also going to put confused and missing context. For missing context, we are in a range. I'm going to type that in all capitals. In a range. So I'm trying to trade continuation, but there is no continuation because we're in a range. That's pretty much it. So that'll be a red star. Trade 19 is my last trade of the session. It is a 31 tick profit to the short side. I catch a really, really juicy setup here. I think this is going to be A plus. It almost has to be considering how long I held it.
We do have an ATR candle up.
So I get the ATR candle up, which is a good signal for me.
Which is technically against my
Perfect location
but given the indication
because we're it's pretty much high of day. I short 2750 and the high of day is 30. So we're very close to the high of day there. It instantly goes in my favor. And it stays in my favor. I don't think it pulls back on me at all. Keeps going.
Let me take it off here.
And I nail the bottom. I nail the absolute bottom of it. Fast forward a bit just so I can show that. And let's screenshot it. So for the screenshot, I'm going to type my narration 30-second plus 31 ticks short. A plus. So we have a range high. And range low. We breach the bottom, and then we breach the top. And when we do that, when we breach the bottom and then breach the top, chances are we're going to get range expansion. So I will type that there, range expansion. This is my entry, and this is my exit. I literally bottom ticket. So I think my target was 1850. Target of 1850 seemed so I'm just making a note over here. Mean reversion target in range mid. We got a whole bunch of reclaim below us. Yeah, I think that's good enough. So A plus trade. This was definitely the best trade of the day. Best setup of the day. It wasn't easy though. It was pretty tough to hold. So let's tag it. This was a mean reversion. ATR candle fade was the entry signal. A plus. At the point of entry, we were above the moving average. Factors of support, we had quite a few. We had big and small order blocks. We had reclaim below us. We V-flushed both sides of the range. We had a support resistance area. We had pretty good stop run potential. Although maybe I won't tag that just because it's pretty loose to be a stop range. And we had range favor, but no trend favor. We were against the trend, technically. Multiple factors of support. Entry good, exit good. It could not have been better. This was a pretty aggressive hold, which means I'm technically against my bias, but sometimes you gotta be. Did have slip favor on this one. I was very clear about what was happening. I'm going to put maybe calm because my heart rate was very high. I'm going to put yes content because I was content with holding this one for very long. I'm going to put yes patient because I also had to sit here and wait for this to set up. I knew what it was what it was going to be, but I had to wait for that confirmation. And this was technically a long above VWAP +1, which is technically breaking the rules of my system, but I think this trade was just so obviously good that you got to break your rules sometimes. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. So I just wanted to see what we ended up trading after, and it looks like we're trading right back up into prior day. So that is my session. Let's look at a report card real quick. So my single long-term goal is to never attempt an idea more than twice, and I did that today. I also survived high VIX. Let's just see what the VIX was today. I'm just checking on my phone. So it looks like when we opened today, we were at VIX 23 almost. So VIX 20s is nasty stuff, and I survived. You know, to survive high VIX is all you can really ask for, and I did that. I didn't exactly thrive. I didn't come away from today with a profit by any means, but I survived, and I came away with a much smaller loss than I would expect on a day like today, especially considering it's Friday. You know, you get a high VIX on a Friday. That is just a recipe for disaster. And you know, if you're just looking at the raw P&L, it's easy to think that today was a disaster, but it wasn't. It was anything but a disaster. It was controlled. You know, my system was tested to its absolute limits today, which is exactly what you want as a trader. As a trader, you want your system to be pushed almost to failure, and I think today it was pushed almost to failure. And there were a lot of things that I learned about the versatility of my system, and a lot of changes that I might need to make in high VIX, like for example, using ATR on the 30-second instead of the 3-second, and sizing down to be able to afford more hits, and just not being afraid. You know, there was a lot of moments today where I got out of the trade way too early and I didn't have a wide enough leash on it. But at the same time, I wasn't suffocating my trades. I wasn't. The leash was not too tight today on most of my trades, which I think is good for a first day of high VIX to be able to make adjustments like that and to let trades breathe and be relatively calm. I mean, today was not a calm day by any means. If we look at, I do have a heart rate tag down here. Today was not calm by any means, but it also wasn't completely red. I mean, my heart rate wasn't 130 beats the entire session. You know, there were a couple moments where it was, but for the most part, it was relatively controlled. And I respected my system. I stuck to it. I didn't fight my system. I didn't try to push it beyond what it was capable of. I knew exactly what I was trading, and it didn't work on a technical scale, but I know what I need to fix to make it work. And I think it's going to be pretty easy to implement those changes moving forward. So if I sit down here on Monday and the VIX is still high, I know exactly what changes I need to make. And those are, and I'll even make a note of it. Let's put it in. If high VIX, drop size, and use 30-second ATR. That's it. That's a simple fix that I need to implement. And I can do that starting tomorrow or starting Monday if I have to. Easiest trade, it definitely wasn't the 31 tick win. That was a hard trade. Flush back below. Let's see here. It might be the 14 tick win. Let me just reassess here. Let me look at these. We've got an ATR candle pullback into the breakout. I'm going to try the long 1920. No, I'm pretty confident that the easiest trade was trade number 9 tick profit. It was a very easy trade, and I think I was at my calmest when I executed it, because we had a clear slip range. The trade immediately went in my favor. I had the trend favor. I had the potential of a breakout. And I had a compression. So it's just, there was a lot of factors that were saying if you get in this trade, there are things that are going to carry that trade and prevent it from going against you. Now, that doesn't mean it's a 100% win rate. Those trades do fail often, but it's the fact that I can get in a trade like that with confidence and easily hold it to target, and that's exactly what I did. I was very, very proud of that trade. Not to say that I'm not proud of the other trades, like the 31 tick winner. I am very proud of it, but those trades are not easy. If anything, they're the hardest trades because you really gotta have good mental fortitude to take those trades. Things I did good, I kind of already talked about it. I followed my system. I survived a high volatility environment. I made changes throughout the session. A lot of times I just stubbornly keep trading the same way throughout a session until I hit daily loss limit, and then I'm like, oh, I need to change. But today was different. Today I implemented those changes throughout the session instead of just stubbornly attempting the same ideas. And I reviewed. I got so much useful information out of that. This is going to be an hour and a half review, but I gained so much from it. It's just invaluable. With all that in mind, the grade I would give myself today would honestly be A. You know, it's not necessarily A plus because there were a lot of challenges and there were still a lot of unnecessary losses that I could have eliminated. But considering the circumstances And considering that I survived, I did not hit daily loss limit today, and I chose to walk away on my own accord instead of having to be forced out of trading. I think today was an A. Absolutely. I'm very proud of the way I traded today. Um, Things I need to improve on, unnecessary losses. There are still moments where I'm, you know, pushing my system beyond what I know it's capable of. Um, Trades 10 and 11 are pretty good examples of that, where we're in a very sloppy, choppy area, and I'm trading as if it were momentum, which it's not. The momentum just does not exist. Um, and to add insult to injury, I try it again. I try that same idea twice. So those were two very unnecessary losses that I could have avoided. 17 ticks worth of losses that could have been avoided. For the sake of the mental practice, let's go ahead and filter today's session out and get rid of red star trades and see where we would have been. So yeah, if it weren't for those red star unnecessary losses today, I would have been slightly profitable. Pretty much break even, but still, I would have not have been red on the day, which I think is pretty impressive. So those red star trades are always going to exist. We're always going to make mistakes as traders, but my goal should be to mitigate that and to have as few red star trades as possible. That being said, I only had 4 red star trades today out of 18 total trades. Sorry, 19 total trades. So I am very proud of that fact, and it's a huge sign of improvement. It is objectively improving over where I was even just a couple weeks ago. So just continuing on this path is what I need to focus on for the future. And that's pretty much it. Today was a struggle. It was not easy, and days like today are what really test you. But just maintaining composure, maintaining calmness, sticking to your system. Your system isn't meant to make you money. It's meant to prevent you from losing money. And I think that's exactly what my system did today. My losses could have been much, much worse today had it not been for the guardrails of this system, which I'm very proud of. So going to continue striving for that bare minimum moving forward and hope to keep the consistency going.